Imagine opening your front door to find 2 cop cars screeching up. Sirens blaring. All because your HOA overlord decided your perfectly legal fence was a threat to society. But when the lead officer steps out and calls you dad, watch as the self-righteous queen's empire crumbles in real time. Her face twisting from smug triumph to utter panic. In the sun-dappled suburbs of Willow Creek, Virginia, where manicured lawns hid a web of absurd rules, lived Elias Grant, a retired schoolteacher who'd spent 35 years molding young minds without ever raising his voice. Elias had moved to this idyllic gated community 5 years ago after his wife, Clara, passed from a sudden heart attack. Seeking solace in the quiet routines of gardening and reading on his porch swing. The neighborhood newsletter boasted harmony through standards, but Elias quickly learned that meant suffocating under the thumb of Beatrice Hargrove, the HOA president who'd reigned unchallenged for 7 years. Beatrice, a 52-year-old former HR manager with a penchant for pastel twin sets and pearl earrings, presented herself as the guardian of civility, quoting community values like scripture, while her husband, a mid-level accountant named Reginald, nodded along from their oversized McMansion. But beneath her polished smile lurked a control freak who measured mailboxes for uniformity and fined folks for bird feeders that attracted unsightly wildlife. Elias, ever the observer, kept his head down at first, noting how Beatrice's friendly reminders always targeted newcomers or anyone who didn't kiss her ring at the annual potluck. It all ignited one crisp autumn morning when Elias decided to install a simple 3-foot picket fence around his vegetable garden. He'd double-checked the HOA bylaws. Fences under 4 feet needed no approval, as long as they matched the neutral palette. Permits in hand. He hired a local crew. And by noon, the fence stood, framing his tomatoes like a modest frame around a family photo. Elias sipped his tea, admiring the work, when Beatrice's silver Lexus purred up, her window rolling down with mechanical precision. "Elias, darling," she cooed, stepping out in kitten heels that clicked like Judgment Day. Clipboard in one hand, a tape measure in the other. "This addition disrupts our aesthetic flow. It's far too rustic for Willow Creek's refined vibe." Elias blinked, setting down his mug. "Beatrice, I followed the rules to the T. Section 3.7 says," she cut him off with a wave, her pearls clinking. "Rules evolve, dear. The board interprets them to preserve our property values. You'll need to remove it within 48 hours. Or face a $400 daily fine. Think of the children, such eyesores breed discontent." Elias felt the sting of her condescension. Rumors already swirling on the neighborhood app about his rebellious project. He said nothing, just nodded. But inside, he filed it away, starting a quiet journal of every interaction, every fabricated violation. The whispers grew like weeds. Beatrice, fearing Elias's quiet defiance might inspire others, amped up her campaign. By winter, she'd slapped him with a notice for his holiday wreath, excessive diameter, promoting visual clutter. Elias stood on his porch, snowflakes dusting his shoulders, as Beatrice handed over the fine slip. "But your door has a massive evergreen garland," he pointed out mildly. She sniffed, adjusting her scarf. "Mine enhances the communal spirit. Yours? It's just garish. $150. Payable by check. We're all in this together, Elias, except when some forget their place." He paid it, but not before snapping photos of her own over-the-top display. A glowing spectacle that could power a small grid. Neighbors murmured about Elias being trouble, Beatrice spinning tales at Bridge Club about his disrespect for authority. Elias endured the side eyes at the mailbox, the cold shoulders at the community pool, all while methodically researching state HOA laws online, uncovering how boards couldn't retroactively punish compliant projects. One evening, over coffee with his daughter Mia, a paralegal in D.C., he shared the escalating nonsense. "Dad, this is harassment," she said, eyes narrowing. "Document everything. Bullies like her thrive on silence." Elias smiled faintly. "Oh. I am. Sweetheart. Patience is a teacher's best tool." Tensions simmered into spring, Beatrice's grip tightening like a noose disguised as neighborly concern. She formed the Green Space Oversight Committee, herself and two cronies, and targeted Elias's garden next, citing non-native plants that could invade ecosystems. One sunny afternoon, she marched onto his lawn uninvited, pruning shears in hand, snipping at his basil. "Invasive species. Elias. This basil is a threat, spreads like gossip." He watched from his window, phone recording silently. "Beatrice. That's my property. Step back. Please." She straightened, face flushing. "I'm enforcing standards for everyone's benefit. Fine incoming, $250 for ecological negligence. And really, at your age, shouldn't you hire professionals instead of playing farmer?" The moxie of her, Elias knew her own yard featured exotic palms shipped from Florida, violating the very native-only rule she'd just invented. He didn't argue, instead emailing the State Environmental Board for clarification. Learning her rule was bogus. But Beatrice wasn't done. She escalated to pet peeves. Fining him for his cat, Whiskers, who occasionally sunbathed on the windowsill. Visible pets disturbed the serene facade, her notice read. Elias chuckled bitterly alone, adding it to his growing dossier, while Beatrice bragged on the app about upholding pet-free exteriors for allergy sufferers. Neighbors now avoided him outright, one even whispering, "He's bringing down property values with all this drama." Elias bore it. But as observation sharpened, Beatrice's fear of losing her throne made her sloppy, her excuses increasingly absurd, like fining a kid's lemonade stand for unauthorized commerce. The absurdity peaked when Beatrice, desperate to quash Elias's subtle pushback, called an emergency HOA summit at the clubhouse. A stuffy room smelling of stale coffee and synthetic carpet. 40 residents crammed in, folding chairs squeaking under shifting weights. Beatrice stood at the podium, projector beaming slides of Elias's infractions, his fence photoshopped to look crooked, his garden labeled biohazard. "Fellow Willow Creekers," she intoned, voice dripping false sincerity. "Elias Grant's repeated violations endanger our haven. His fence mocks our unity, his garden breeds chaos. I propose a vote to mandate his compliance or face expulsion, for the greater good." Murmurs rippled, some nodded, brainwashed by her spin. Elias sat in the back, calm as a statue, until his turn. He rose, pulling out a thick binder. "Beatrice, your rules are as real as fairy dust. Here's the original bylaws, no retroactive changes allowed. And these?" He flipped to photos of her violations. "Your palms are non-native. Hypocrisy much?" The room tensed, Beatrice's smile cracked. "This is slander. You're disrupting order." In a panic, she whipped out her phone. 911? "Yes. Emergency at Willow Creek Clubhouse. A resident's inciting violence, send help now." Sirens wailed closer, the crowd frozen in disbelief at her overreach, as patrol cars screeched into the lot, gravel flying under tires. Beatrice puffed up, pointing at Elias like a prosecutor in a bad courtroom drama. "Arrest him. He's the menace." The door burst open, 3 officers strode in, badges glinting under fluorescent lights. The lead ones scanned the room, peaceful faces, scattered papers. No chaos. "What's the disturbance?" Beatrice launched in. "This man threatened me. He's organized a coup against our board." But the second officer paused, recognition dawning. "Dad? Elias Grant?" It was his son, Officer Lucas Grant, a beat cop with the local precinct. His uniform crisp, eyes widening in controlled surprise. The room gasped, Beatrice's jaw dropped, her confidence sneer morphing into wide-eyed horror, cheeks paling as if she'd seen a ghost. "Why, you're related?" she stammered, hands trembling. Lucas turned professional ice. "Ma'am, you reported a riot. This looks like a meeting. False calls waste resources, and yours match a pattern of harassment reports we've logged." Elias handed over his binder, timelines, emails, footage of Beatrice's trespasses. Neighbors chimed in, exposing her selective finds. Her husband's cooked books siphoning HOA dues for personal upgrades. Beatrice blustered. "This is a setup. I was protecting standards." But Lucas cuffed her gently. "Reading rights amid her sputters. Filing false reports is a felony. Ma'am." Especially 17 times. As she was let out, pearls clinking against metal. The clubhouse erupted in relieved chatter, the tyrant dethroned. Her mask shattered. In the aftermath, Willow Creek breathed freely. Beatrice faced charges: fraud, harassment, 6 months house arrest, barred from boards forever. Her husband lost clients. Their McMansion sold to a family who planted wildflowers without fear. Elias's fines refunded. The new board, led by a fair-minded retiree, scrapped the nonsense rules, turning the clubhouse into a real community hub with barbecues and book swaps. Elias volunteered teaching civics to kids, emphasizing question authority wisely. Neighbors apologized for the rumors, bonds forming over shared laughs at Beatrice's absurdity. One evening, as fireflies danced in his garden, Elias reflected with Lucas over beer. "Son," she thought power meant control. But real community? It's standing together against the absurd. The neighborhood bloomed, free from her petty empire. Was Beatrice the real victim of overzealous neighbors, or did her abuse of power deserve that epic downfall? Drop your take below. Who's truly at fault in HOA hell?